Next up, we are welcome and pleased to have Krissa Marie Bowman with us. Thank you, Krissa. Welcome. She is an internationally recognized integrative hypnotherapy practitioner, speaker, author, and founder of Quantum Journeys Hypnosis Academy, where neuroscience and multidimensional consciousness come together to support deep, whole system healing, blending applied psychology, trauma informed hypnosis, NLP, and energy work. She helps move clients beyond anxiety, burnout, self doubt, self sabotage, while reconnecting with their own inner wisdom, creativity, and higher self. Known for her compassionate, collaborative style, sharp intuition, and refusal to offer one-size-fits-all solutions, Krissa empowers both clients and students to become the true architects of their own transformation. And I am so glad that she is here with us today. Thank you, Krissa. I look forward to hear what you have. Stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Daniela. Wow, that was quite an introduction. Did I write that? Because that seemed longer than what I sent. Anyway, thank you, everyone. And it's time to wake back up. This is not a lucid dream. Or I don't know, maybe it is. And if it is, at least you're lucid, so you'll remember it, right? Okay, so I see a few familiar faces here, but honestly, it seems like most people in here are not people that I have already interacted with. And that is fantastic, very exciting. Um, and how exciting that this brand new virtual hypno conference is getting such a fantastic turnout. Like, wow. Who in here had a chance to attend some or all of the previous presentations? Just a show of hands. I'd love to see that. Were there any that really stood out as like, Krissa, you have to check this one out? Because I didn't get a chance to come yesterday. And yeah, almost all. Oh, fantastic. Any favorites? Feel free to pop them in the chat. I'm always looking for, new knowledgeable collaborators. So if you have any that come to mind, then just pop them in there. But hello, as Daniela said, I'm Krissa Marie Bowman, and welcome to Watch What You Wish For, Harnessing Reality Creation. Let me see if I can. Oh, I can't share. Okay, never mind. I had some graphics, but it's only letting me share the whole screen instead of just.
No, you can
Oh,
choose a
there it is.
window.
Got it. Found it. Is it sharing now? Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. And it's not going to be graphic heavy. There's actually just a handful. So watch what you wish for, harnessing hypnosis and reality creation. And my work lives at the intersection of neuroscience and consciousness, or multidimensional consciousness, as I have started calling it, because it's not just one thing. But what I'm presenting here today is following on the heels of struggling with agoraphobia for many years and only finding limited relief through different modalities, different types of therapy and whatever until I found hypnosis. And that was the thing that finally cracked something open in me and allowed real healing to begin. And that experience not only changed the direction of my work, but it actually changed my entire life. And through that journey of just healing from, deep paralyzing anxiety to a life that I couldn't have imagined I'd be living today, honestly, I began exploring this idea that I was the one actually creating my own reality. And that led to a whole lot of things. One of them being that I had a lifelong chronic bleeding disorder that I healed with self-hypnosis, which I know sounds kind of like, what? I would never say I'd healed or cured anybody else, but it was me and it's gone, a life of it. And so I just am super excited to be able to bring this to you today. And I also want to say thank you to Roy, Werner, and Daniela and Hubert for just making this this absolutely free virtual conference possible. And let's give it up for them just for a moment, because I don't know if you're getting a lot of thanks, and I want to make sure that you fully feel appreciated, because actually that's the bulk of what my talk is going to be about, is coming at creating reality through what we appreciate, through what we give our attention to, through what we have gratitude for. So today I invite you to come with me as we look into the neurological structures as well as the emotional and energetic structures involved with reality creation. And we're going to start off with a little bit of science heavy, but then it gets really fun. So just bear with me. But the first thing I want to talk to you about is prediction processing. And then we're going to move into reticular activating system, which we all know what that is, but I don't know if we really know what that is. There's a thing to it that doesn't get taught very often. And then we're going to go into nervous system response, and then how reality, the environment, responds to us, which kind of like creates that feedback loop. And we're going to take this from unconscious programming, something just running in the background, to something that's intentional and actually really simple. So even though I'm going to throw some science at you that sounds like maybe a little bit complicated, it's not. I'm just going to explain it to you so you understand what we're doing, but the process itself is really, really simple. And this is not just theory. I practice these daily myself. I share them with my clients. I've had over 2,000 sessions actually several months ago, and I haven't counted again since then. So it's probably a few hundred more. I have almost 300 students. I teach this stuff. And so it's not just theory. And I'm living my favorite chapter of my life right now. And that is not by accident. And it's also not to brag. It's just that, I still have challenges. I still have complications, but I know how to move through them without getting stuck now, and to recalibrate back to the path of my highest good. And that's what I'm going to share with you. So these practical tools, there's going to be an interactive part of this. If you stick around like the last 10, 12 minutes of the presentation, if you're already so tranced out from all of these presentations that you're like, I don't think I can handle 10 more minutes of self-hypnosis or guided hypnosis, that's fine. I will not be the least bit offended if you check out, because I'm in the middle of this whole conference, right? So you've had several hours before me. But if you do stick around, I think that you're going to get a lot out of it. What I really want to do is just show you how you can be the artist and the architect of your own life by working with the structures and systems that are already involved. You can expect to have a stronger sense of sovereignty, greater self-trust, and knowing that you don't have to stay stuck ever again. You can choose to, of course, if you want, but you don't have to. I would never take the right away from you to choose to stay stuck, but I'm going to give you a way that you can unstickify yourself. And so one thing I want to say is most people who are interested in manifesting or law of attraction, or what I just call reality creation, focus on, I guess, kind of like wishful thinking on steroids, right? Often with a bunch of complicated rituals and a bunch of affirmations and no small amount of spiritual and emotional bypassing. And then when it doesn't work, it can leave people feeling like they're just not doing it right, or maybe they're not ready, or worse, not deserving of whatever it is they're trying to manifest. And I'm just going to call it like it is. That is complete and utter hogwash. It's BS, which can stand for many things. So we'll say belief system here, but it can also stand for the other BS. But the truth is that you're already manifesting every moment of every day. You just weren't given the owner's manual on utilizing the structures that make up the reality creation system, which is partially in your brain, partially in your body, and partially in the energy that you're projecting and also receiving. And so we're going to break those down. And it's actually not that complicated. It's going to go a little bit in neuroscience, but you know what? You guys are all hypnotists and hypnotherapists, so this is going to be really helpful. Okay, so most of the time when we're trying to create specific results, like more money, more health, or improved health, or a different job, a better job, new or a better relationship, whatever it is, we're almost always actually reaching for it from a place of lack. We're thinking about what's missing, what we don't have, instead of what we do. So like, let's say you're wanting to manifest a new car. Usually those thoughts come right at the moment when your current car isn't working, or breaks down, or is costing you too much in gas these days. And so you're coming at it from a place of you're frustrated and you want this other thing, but you're not actually putting yourself in the position of what it's going to be like when you have the other thing, because you're coming at it from a place of frustration. Most of the time when we think about money, when is it? When do we think about money? Is it when we have it? Is it when we have enough of it? No, it's when we don't have enough of it that we're thinking about money, and we're thinking about the lack of money. And then we're like, I got to manifest some money, but we're coming at it from that state of lack, right? And when we're doing that, what we're accidentally doing is reinforcing the lack, reinforcing the thing that's not working into our nervous system. And so I'm going to say something a little counterintuitive for a presentation that is on reality creation, which is please stop trying to manifest. Full stop. Just stop trying to manifest. First of all, you all know the problematic issue with trying. So let's throw that out the window. But also, whenever you're forcing or controlling an outcome from a place of lack, a place of something missing, a place of, oh, it's not good enough, or I need more, or I need less, or whatever, then you're actually dialing in the exact reality that you don't want. So just let that land for a minute, because, yeah. All right. So here's what we're going to do. And this isn't based on a belief system or a philosophy or some complicated spiritual ritual. This is practical, neurologically and energetically grounded approach that creates real, intentional, and positive change in your life. And if you don't like the reality that you're currently experiencing, that doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong, okay? Or that you don't deserve better. And you definitely don't need to work harder at it. And here's why. Every moment of every day, you have various structures and systems that are running millions of behind the scenes calculations constantly. And it's basically asking all of them together, based on everything I know about the world up until this very moment and who I am in this world, what is the most likely thing to happen next? This is called predictive processing. And it is one of the most well-supported frameworks in modern neuroscience. Its entire purpose is just to save us time, effort, and energy, because ultimately we are lazy and we want to stay that way. We don't want to have to run a gazillion different calculations in our mind in order to just make one simple decision or have one response to something. And so our brain is not actually waiting to see reality as it is. It is actually reacting to the prediction that it's already given. So it generates an expectation first, and then it compares all incoming data to that prediction. Why does it do this? Well, why do we need to have this ability to do this so quickly? All biological systems are based on survival, first and foremost. So that's what it is. It's a survival mechanism, as most things are in the brain and the body. And so let me go to the next of just a handful of slides. I want you to consider brown bears. This is an example, okay? There's roughly 200,000 large brown bears scattered across our planet, right? There's grizzlies, there's Kodiaks, there's the Eurasian brown bear. There's about 15 other varieties, maybe 20. Of those 200,000, there are only about 5 to 10 human fatalities per year. So that's an extremely low statistical risk. And yet, if you encounter one in the wild, your system doesn't calculate the actual percentages. It just predicts threat and takes whatever action it determines will save your life in that moment. Hopefully, if you are hiking in the backcountry and you know that there's grizzlies there, you've taken some time to educate yourself on what that action should be. But you're going to take some action, even if the action is to do absolutely nothing. It's going to be a conscious action to freeze, right? Now, from a survival standpoint, that makes sense. It's better to react as if the bear might be a threat than to assume that it isn't, even though statistically speaking, it's a very, very, very low risk, because it only takes being wrong once to become one of those rare statistics, right? Okay, but just for shits and giggles, let's look at how this compares to the world's actual deadliest creature, the almighty mosquito. But people don't typically go into fight or flight over a mosquito, viewing them more as an annoyance with an exponentially higher chance of killing you than a bear. Yeah. Okay. And that's why we have this ability. What does this mean in your day to day life? Well, if your brain has encoded predictions like, I am just not a lucky person, or I'm not the kind of person who gets to have this luxury or that kind of love or whatever. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not attractive enough. I'm too loud. I'm too quiet. I'm too scared. I'm too tall. I'm too short. I'm too fat. I'm too skinny. I'm too whatever, right? Life isn't fair. Then those encoded predictions will be filtered and interpreted and organized. And all incoming information that matches them will be confirmed. And when it doesn't, it just gets deleted and we don't even question it. Why? Again, goes back to survival. The system seeks consistency and familiarity, not novelty. Even if what's consistent and familiar sucks, it's still safer than not knowing, right? Than something new. As the saying goes, better the devil you know than the one that you don't. And so this is where the good old reticular activating system comes in. By now, most of you have probably heard about the power of the reticular activating system, given the career that you have, right? Or if you're not yet a hypnotist, hypnotherapist, but you're considering it, at some point in your studies, you will run across this concept. And it's basically your brain's personal algorithm. Most of us were taught to understand it as a highlighting mechanism, right? Noticing whatever it is that we're focused on. The common example often used in trainings is, when you're thinking about buying a car and you've got like the make and the model and the color all picked out. And because you're thinking about it, then you go out in the world and suddenly you see that same make, model, color car. And you're like, when did everybody else decide to get the same car as me? For me, I noticed it when I was pregnant with twins 24 and a half years ago. I noticed twins everywhere. I was like, what? When did everybody start having twins? That's crazy. And they weren't, but I didn't know about the reticular activating system 24 and a half years ago. But here's what's interesting. The reticular activating system isn't actually a highlighting mechanism so much as a deleting mechanism. Yeah. Out of the billions and billions of bits of information that your entire system, all the various structures of your reality creation system receive every second of every day, you consciously perceive the teeniest, tiniest fraction of that. And that's your reticular activating system. It decides what makes the cut, and then it deletes everything else before you even get a chance to notice it. Sorry, I'm having hair issues today. It keeps getting in my eyes. And so you want some proof? All right, here's a simple example that most of us have experienced at some point or another. Bad drivers. Who's experienced a bad driver? Who's pretty sure most drivers are not so good? Like wherever you live, you're like, oh, these are terrible drivers. Or maybe they all came from somewhere else, but now they're here. Right. Okay. So this is born of actual real life experience, right? Let's say someone's driving distractedly or is just oblivious or even aggressively being a jerk, cutting you off, maybe swerving drunkenly, and you immediately perceive them as a threat, and rightfully so. But what about all the other drivers on the road that are just quietly getting from point A to point B? Your reticular activating system just deleted all of them. There's many more of those decent drivers than there are of the bad drivers, but you'll remember the bad drivers, especially when you come into contact with one, right? All the others are filtered out completely, and now you're left with this prediction that the world is filled with bad drivers, even though logically we know that that can't be true. So now let's talk about the role that confirmation bias plays. This is the part of the system, the structure, that reinforces whatever it is that we're already noticing, and not noticing what we're not anchoring in any way what's being deleted, right? And then it validates that. That's what it does. Confirmation bias is the part that validates. So we have the predictions, then we have the reticular activating system deleting everything else, and then we have confirmation bias coming up and saying, aha, see? So that the next day, maybe you see another bad driver and you're like, there it is, they're all terrible. There it is, there's proof, right? But here's the thing, and you already know this, but I'm just going to remind you, it's a big old fat liar. It's not there to actually show you objective truth. It's just there to help your reality remain consistent and predictable and familiar. Because again, as far as a survival mechanism goes, that is considered a win even if it's not true. And so then there's the emotional layer. Emotions live in the body, the nervous system to be precise, as I'm sure you know. And your emotions anchor in the meaning that your confirmation bias has attached to your predictions that were deleted, all the other things that didn't meet that were deleted by your RAS. So we have all these different structures all working together. Okay. I'm going to show you a graphic in a minute that will help kind of make it, I guess, more visually sensible. But it will resist anything that doesn't match the prediction. Just like the RAS deleted everything, confirmation bias. So it's like, well, that doesn't, like, I don't care that this politician says this. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in this. I'm only going to hear this, right? Okay. Or let's say anxiety. If anxiety is familiar for you, as it was for me many years, paralyzingly so to the degree of agoraphobia, your system will continue to find more things to be anxious about. And again, it's not because your brain hates you. It's doing exactly what it's designed to do. And so I'm going to give you another metaphor and another graphic. And there we go. So let's say, this is one that I actually use with my adolescent and young adult clients who struggle with social anxiety. And they always get an aha moment from this one. But it also will work great to illustrate the structure that I'm talking about here. So let's say you get invited to a party. Let's say you're a teenager and you get invited to a party and you have social anxiety. So of course you're anxious about going, but you're also human and you're at that part of your lifespan where tribalism, because we're a tribal species, is a really strong driver. So you're like, oh, I'm craving that sense of belonging. I'm going to go to the party, even though I'm afraid. So you decide to go, you get ready. There's anticipation, maybe teetering on the edge of panic about all the things that could go wrong, about the rejection that you're pretty sure you might face. But you decide to brave it and you show up. But you show up afraid. And you arrive with your shoulders hunched over, maybe wanting to like shrink yourself or even become invisible. You're quiet. You're scanning for proof that you're going to be rejected. And the other people in the party pick up on those cues because guess what? They also have predictive processing. They also have a reticular activating system. They also have confirmation bias. And they're reading your cues, and what they're hearing and seeing and feeling is this person wants to be left alone. At best. At worst, it might be like, wow, this person's really rude. Whatever it is, they leave you the heck alone. And even if there were a few that did try to connect, maybe they looked at you or they smiled, your reticular activating system is going to delete them, and your confirmation bias is going to forget them, and it's going to highlight the ones that rejected you. So you go home feeling exactly what you feared, rejected and alone. Congratulations, you just manifested your reality. Now, imagine that same young teen version of you shows up to the same party, but this time where you're leading with that curiosity and excitement instead of apprehension and fear. And yeah, okay, you're still scared, but you're like, you know what? I'm just going to like expect the best instead of the worst, like all the good things that could happen instead of all of the worst things that could happen. So you're standing a little taller and you're genuinely interested in the people around you instead of being afraid of them. Now, do you think they're going to respond to you differently? Is their predictive processing, reticular activating system, and confirmation bias going to respond to you differently? Of course it is. Congratulations. You just manifested your reality again. Same person, same party, different internal prediction, entirely different reality. And I hope that I'm sharing and unsharing it the right. Am I doing that right, Roy? Okay, I just want to make sure because it looks different on my end than it usually does. So whatever your brain doesn't notice, it literally cannot be a part of your reality. Just think about that for a minute. Think about the opportunities that were missed, the open doors that you didn't even see, the small wins that you could have like patted yourself on the back for, the magical connections that you never made because they were deleted before you even noticed them. And so here's that promised graphic that hopefully will help make this all make more sense. The default reality engine. This is the predictive brain loop. So the first one, you have past experiences, right? And then that is what creates the prediction. The prediction then is filtered through your reticular activating system, which is deleting whatever doesn't match the prediction. More so than it is highlighting what does. It's deleting everything else, okay? Leading to confirmation bias, which then validates it all. And then your nervous system, you have an emotional response to this that anchors it in as a true experience, even if it's bullshit. Excuse my language, but it's true, okay? External environmental response, the world responds back, and then that updates the whole thing. That completes the entire feedback loop of reality creation. And so we can actually hack that system. We have this constant feedback loop. And some of you are probably like, but what about the law of attraction, Krissa? Like, okay, sure, yeah, there's some truth to that. But it often misses the most important point, in my opinion, which is that we're already always attracting and also repelling our, like, whatever it is in our reality. We're attracting, we're deleting, we're repelling. So the law of attraction, yes, it's a real thing, but it's not just wishful thinking on steroids. And working harder and wishing harder and wanting more is going to completely have the opposite effect. So I'm going to show you a less labor-intensive way to do this, to hack the system. So think of this as the practical architecture behind the law of attraction, or like the owner's manual for reality creation. And if these structures all run below the conscious awareness, right, then what's the lever here, right? These are all structures that create a whole system. Like, what's the thing that actually makes the full change? It's not just your predictions. It's not just your reticular activating system. It's not just your confirmation bias. And it's not just the meaning that you've attached to it based on how people and situations are responding to you and your nervous system anchoring it in. It's your state. It's the whole thing. It's your emotional and physiological state. That's the underlying operating system, the whole deeper level programming that interacts with the world at large, constantly co-creating your reality with or without your awareness. And it's always doing this. And this is why working harder isn't helpful, because that will negatively impact the state. That creates resistance. We need to update the entire operating system, beginning with the predictive processing in an easy, simple way that doesn't create any shame or repression or self-judgment or any of that stuff. What we need to do is give our brain a reason to predict something else. Basically, we just need permission to predict a new thing. So I'm sure you're all familiar with the placebo effect, yes? Yeah, okay. How many in here are also familiar with the nocebo effect? Just raise your hands. I can see at least some of you. Nocebo? Okay, a few. All right. So here's an example. And I have notes here in front of me. In 1947, philosopher Michael Grosso cited a case study where a patient suffering from lymphosarcoma, who had been given a terminal diagnosis, was provided with an experimental drug. He responded extremely well. His tumors disappeared. Then the drug was declared useless by the AMA, and his tumors returned. Then he was given a second drug. The patient again appeared to recover until he was told that that drug also was reported to be useless. The patient relapsed and died. It was the patient's faith in the drug that was keeping him alive. When he lost the faith, he lost his life. And this can be found in the book Reality Denied: Firsthand Experiences with Things That Can't Happen But Did by author John B. Alexander. And you're like, okay, well, that's just one example, one person. Is this universally true? Yes. Let me tell you about the Rosenthal effect. You guys familiar with that one? That one I learned in college, but it's pretty cool. So in 1965, a group of teachers were told that certain students in their classrooms were highly gifted, had a high IQ, and other ones were late bloomers, not as smart, not as on the ball. And the students were just randomly selected. and the teachers were unaware that they were a part of an experiment. So this would qualify as a double-blind experiment, which is like the gold standard of psych experiments. It's a small sample though, so it's not as great as it could be, but it's still pretty darn good. Okay, the results, however, were pretty astounding. The students that the teachers treated as being gifted later tested at remarkably higher IQ levels. The students that the teachers treated as being late bloomers tested at much lower IQ scores across the board in every single case, no exceptions. There was no like average. It was just either really high or really low based on how the teachers treated them, and obviously had absolutely nothing to do with their intelligence quotient. It had to do with what they were predicting based on what the teachers were telling them. And so predictive processing comes in many forms, and one of them is based on what other people expect of you. So think about that in terms of being given permission to alter your processing, right? Just like with the nocebo and the placebo. And anything can give you that. You can be given permission by a teacher, a doctor, by complicated law of attraction manifesto telling you to bend over backwards and write your name 222 times on February 22nd. It can be standing outside under the full moon, naked and dancing backwards. It could be whatever it is, right? That's permission. That's your permission slip. And for the purposes of today, me, Krissa, hypnotherapist extraordinaire, no, not really, but I'm getting there, hopefully, working at it. I'm going to give you that permission. So I'm going to hereby give you your very own permission slip to update your reality creation. So to update the reticular activating system, you just need to give it new things to notice. And more importantly, new things to delete. That part just happens naturally. And this is actually the easiest part, believe it or not. Okay? To update confirmation bias, you simply need to show that there's more to the picture. So when you hone in on like, aha, see, I knew they were all bad drivers, you just have to kind of zoom out and be like, oh, look, there's lots of other drivers. They're not all that bad. So whatever it is, you just have to keep doing it. Oh yeah, now I can stop sharing because Roy put it up there. Thank you. Here's a real world example that we're all experiencing. The news is constantly telling us how awful the world is. But when you wake up and you look around, most days your own little corner of the world is not doing too bad, right? You got a roof over your head, house is not on fire, there's no grizzly bears chasing you. There's probably maybe a few mosquitoes, but we've decided they're just annoying, not deadly, right? Okay. Anyway, so imagine if everyone just took care of their own little corner of reality and then chose to help those that they could take care of their own little corners of reality. Can you imagine the collective reality that we could create instead of listening to the news telling us how awful everything is and then responding to the world as if that's the truth? Because we get to create that truth. All right, so moving on to update the nervous system. You need new lived experiences. Yep, you have to actually do the thing to get the full update. But the good news is the brain can't necessarily tell the difference between a physically lived experience and one that we thoroughly imagine, dialing all of our senses wide open. Just like those, the research they've done on a piano player, and it shows all the same areas of the brain activating as someone who's just pretending to play piano, right? The brain can't tell the difference. Daniela says, we learned yesterday about making ourselves poison to mosquitoes. Oh, how perfect is that? Yay, that's awesome. Now, we know that the brain does this, right? Because it's pretty much the basis of all catastrophizing. Like we react as if this thing that we're thinking is maybe going to happen is real, which works in reverse too. It's just we don't tend to use it that way because the default mode is about survival. So it's easier to catastrophize. Fortunately, we can hack this, and hypnosis is a fantastic way to do that, which we're going to be doing here in just a bit. So we can do this in a state of intentional trance like we're going to do today, but you can also, it's just as effective doing it as like a playful daydream. Like seriously, just getting into a state of mind of like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if, or I wonder if, or how could, just show me how good it can get, brain, and just let yourself have these playful daydreams and let them kind of go. Doing this helps it to become more familiar. And then eventually that thing that you were scared to do, you can do in real life, right? That's when it settles fully into the nervous system and completely updates that feedback loop. And so looking for evidence, which is going to be how the world and how other people are responding to you, is going to be that like, aha, it's working. It's working. Because you have to pay attention to what's going right and not what's going wrong. Just like the bad driver example, right? Here's one that maybe some of you could relate to. I used to place a lot more weight on the few hypnotherapy sessions that I didn't think went so well, even though there were many, many more that did go just great. But I didn't weight those as heavily. So I could have like 10 great sessions in a week and then like one or two that weren't, that I felt like, oh, I should have done this or I could have done that. Guess what I'm spending the weekend thinking about? Not the great ones, right? Not, well, now I do because I know better. But when I first got started, this is what I used to do, right? And I think some of us can probably relate to that. Yeah. Okay. Because here's the thing. And I know that we've all heard this before. We always get more of whatever it is that we're looking for. But now you understand the mechanics of that truth at a much deeper level, I hope. And by the way, your brain is already, it has a built-in tool to help with all of this, which is neuroplasticity. And its ability to change its structure and function, which, by the way, does not happen in a comfort zone. Sorry to say. You actually have to give yourself, you have to feed yourself new, novel experiences. Your brain has to experience unexpected outcomes, right? Unfamiliar situations for this neuroplasticity to take place. And there's little things that you can do to just like kind of like give it a oomph, you know, like cross your legs in the opposite direction from usual. Like if you're sitting cross-legged right now, go ahead and switch it. I'll do it too because I'm sitting cross-legged. If you brush your teeth with your right hand, do it with your left hand. Make a list with your non-dominant hand, whatever it is, just do little things and that will help with the neuroplasticity. Stand on one leg while brushing your teeth. Oh, that's a good one. And I want to say I'm not perfect at this, by the way. Like I am also a work in progress. I sometimes fall into unwanted states, but that's okay because I've learned not to fight it. Instead, I treat it as information. An unwanted state still has information for us. And once we address that information, that it's offering, it tends to release its grip. When we actively try to deny or repress or judge ourselves or shame ourselves or any of those things to try and like get rid of the unwanted state, the unwanted thoughts, whatever, it actually makes them stickier. They dig in deeper. So you have to work with the mechanics and not against them. And here is one more graphic. I use this metaphor a lot in my sessions. It's, you know, thinking of it like a yield sign instead of a stop sign. A yield sign is just an invitation to check in. It's just saying like, hey, you know, there's a yield up ahead. Are you sure you want to proceed? And you just kind of slow down and be like, oh yeah, thanks for bringing that to my attention. I'm good. I'm gonna do the thing. If it's a stop sign and you heed that stop sign, then every time that similar situation comes up, it's going to remind you that you're supposed to stop. You're digging that neural pathway in deeper and deeper every time you treat it like a stop sign. So instead, just say like, hey, is this just old programming that's inviting me to update it? It doesn't have to be a stop sign. Just let it be a yield sign. There is that knee-jerk reaction to fight it, right? Oh, I hate that thought. Oh, I wish I wasn't doing that thing. Oh, why did I do this or that or the other? Judging yourself for the unwanted state, the unwanted emotion, the unwanted thoughts, you know, all of that stuff. It's like the pink elephant conundrum, right? Don't think about a pink elephant. And if you're thinking of a pink elephant right now, guess what? First of all, you're still awake. Second of all, your brain's working exactly like it's supposed to. The truth that I found is that every uncomfortable or unwanted state is merely an opportunity to acknowledge and then update if you choose. And so I have some real world practical exercises to help with this. Who's ready to dive in to the actual exercises? Okay. Can I tell a couple of elephant jokes real quick? We have time, right? Because we just did elephants. Okay. So we were talking about a pink elephant. Okay. I'm going to say, how do you shoot a blue elephant? With the blue elephant gun. How do you shoot a pink elephant? You hold its nose until it turns blue and you shoot it with the blue elephant gun. For the purposes of today's talk, it's just a water gun. The whole thing is imaginary. So stop thinking about, harming elephants, okay? Like you chose that, not me. I'm saying it's a water gun. How do you hide an elephant in a cherry tree? You paint its toenails red. Okay, now that we've broken that up a little bit. So here's a silly request. And this is why I wanted to tell you a couple jokes first, because I'm going to ask you to do a really silly thing. You can take yourself off camera if you want to, and only if it's safe to do so, right? Doesn't cause any damage or discomfort. But I want you to go ahead and just shake your body out like a wet dog. Just let the day go, wake yourself up. What we're doing is getting a reset on that extraordinary nervous system of yours. And you'll know that it's worked when you start to smile. Some people even laugh. Okay. I see some people not smiling. I also saw some people didn't shake. Your choice. You don't have to participate, but you'll feel better if you do. But you know what? I said I would never take that right away from you. If you don't want to feel better, it's not my right to force you. Okay. So this one is something that you can just set and forget. You don't need to update it constantly. It's just a thing that's going to kind of update itself. This is something I show all my clients, pretty much all of them. This is how you start redirecting your reticular activating system. I call it the glimmer inventory. So I want you to just think about when you woke up this morning, or in Roy's case, this evening, because his time's all backwards. And I want you to replay it. Just replay it. However you do. If you're visual, visualize it. If not, just go through it cognitively, whatever. And I want you to just kind of think about the things that went right. What went right? The more mundane, the better, honestly. And this might echo gratitude exercises that you've seen in other manifestation content, but we're going to do something different with it. So just think of anything that brought you some joy or some ease, or, just made your morning better. Something you probably predicted would be there, would be available to you. And lo and behold, it was. Look at that. Okay. Maybe, I don't know, a cup of coffee, sunrise, a pet, a roof over your head, food in your kitchen, indoor plumbing, the sound of bird song, loved ones' laughter. We already know you have internet access, so there's one, right? Because you're here today. There's a thing that went right. Haha. And you got into this beautiful conference for free. There's another thing that went right. Okay. So there's all of these remarkable things that already went right for you today. How about your body? Are there any parts of your physical body that are currently comfortable? Go ahead, think about it. Oh, at least played with a lamb. That's lovely. That would be a fantastic way to start the day. Any parts of your body that are comfortable, even if it's I don't know, your left pinky toe. There's some comfort there. Sure. Oh, my wrist feels pretty good. That one. The other one, maybe this one does. Okay, whatever it is. Go ahead and thank your body for being comfortable in that one area. Okay. And also maybe thank it for being such a brilliant communicator that when there's discomfort, it lets you know. Yay! Thank you for the signals, body. And you might as well thank it for everything else that it's done over your lifetime. Because honestly, knitting broken bones, clearing infections, turning whatever you consume into usable energy. I mean, it's a brilliant self-healing machine that we're inhabiting here. It's pretty amazing when you think about it. Okay, now pick that one thing, whatever it is, that often gets overlooked or taken for granted. Maybe go back to coffee. It's coffee. For a lot of people, it's coffee. It could be tea. I don't know. But if it is coffee, I want you to think about the deeper architecture of that. Think about the fact that it's available to you whenever you want it, with ease, even though it was likely grown hundreds or even thousands of miles away, planted by somebody else's hands, harvested by yet another's, roasted by yet another, packaged, shipped across land and sea, and made available for you to purchase without much thought at all, other than whether you prefer medium roast or dark roast, right? And when it's not available, for some that can be pretty catastrophic. That would be me. But when it is available, we tend to just forget about all of the deeper architecture that went into bringing it to your mouth. All of the varied steps of labor. So, whatever that thing is that makes your life better, that went right today, go ahead and think about every step that you can, right? Because there's deep appreciation there. And go ahead and write down whatever that thing is on a sticky note. It can be a picture of it, like if you want to draw a symbol of whatever it is, or the word, whatever, right? And then place it somewhere that you'll see it every day, just peripherally. You don't have to look right at it, just like bathroom mirror, that's fine. And you don't have to force yourself to do anything at all. That's it. That's all you do. Because what this does is it starts to feed your prediction processing and your reticular activating system at the same time with new information. So it's like this tiny little thing, but it's super powerful. As a side note for me, ever since I started having past life memories, indoor plumbing is my special thing. That's the thing that I appreciate so much is indoor plumbing because I have past life memories, several, where there was no such thing. I mean, it's a pretty recent invention, all things considered. And when you think about the miracle of indoor plumbing, miles and miles and miles of pipe and the treatment plants and like everything, bringing clean water into your house, taking everything icky out of your house, like, oh my God, it is amazing. Elise says, I just started using an outhouse and loving it. Okay, you and I, sister, are on different ends of the spectrum on that. My grandparents actually had an outhouse when I was very little. And no, thank you. In the Appalachian Mountains, no less. So, yeah, there was black snakes and all sorts of stuff. I am so happy to have indoor plumbing. Every time I take a shower or a hot bath or go to make a hot beverage or just wash my clothes, I'm reminded of how grateful I am of this like modern miracle that most of us just don't even think about, right? Okay, anyway, so moving on, all you gotta do is write that thing down and then that's it. The point isn't to think positive thoughts. Screw that. It's not gonna, like, we can't actively force ourselves into that. But what we can do is work with the structures that are already in the system of reality creation and start updating those. Okay, so we're gently training the brain to notice the glimmers, and they always live right next to the triggers. So now, with that, we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of hypnosis if you are ready. It's a 4-step process. It takes about 7 minutes. Who's in? You guys aren't like already like, oh my God, more hypnosis. I don't think I can take it. All right, I think you're going to feel pretty good though. Otherwise, I wouldn't be offering you this, right? I had the opportunity to become an actual like talk therapy counselor and turned it down because of my own experiences of leaving in tears. I became a hypnotherapist instead because people walk out happier. So I wouldn't offer to do this with you unless I thought it was actually going to make you happier. And you can do this one on your own anytime you want if you choose. It gets faster. Like I can do it within 2 minutes now. It just kind of becomes muscle memory. So the first one is, I call it the sun grounding induction, and it's based on something that Louis Bostic teaches from the Berkeley Science Institute, and it has a little bit of Dr. Flowers sprinkled in there too. So go ahead and get yourself nice and comfortable. And just start by imagining that there is a skylight right at the top of your head, and it's currently closed. Oh, Elise, you are in the Appalachian foothills? Well, of course you have an outhouse. Watch out for the black snakes, honey. Okay, now there's a skylight at the top of your head. Sorry, I'm just responding to the chat. I have ADHD. Can you tell? Okay, skylight. It's closed though. And I want you to go ahead and roll your eyes up as if you could almost see it. Like, oh, if you could just get those eyeballs up a little bit higher, you could see the edges of that skylight. And take in a big deep breath. And as you exhale, go ahead and just close your eyes right down. And with your breathing in and out, I want you to imagine that you're just breathing in new energy and exhaling out the old energy. Let's do that again. Open your eyes and rolling up so you can kind of almost see that skylight. Breathing in brand new energy. And exhaling out and closing your eyes down. And one last time. In with the new energy. Open eyes, roll up. Now this time, hold it for a few seconds longer. And when you finally let that breath out, when you finally exhale out, that's going to open the skylight this time. Go ahead and let it out now. Opening that skylight and imagining the sun's beautiful, warm light shining right down directly upon you, moving in you and through you. Dialing all of your senses wide open, imagining the sense of the warmth of that sunlight on your skin. Maybe as it moves through your whole body, you can even see little photons of light dancing behind your closed eyelids. And every breath, just breathing that light in even deeper, getting curious about this light as it pours in, moving all the way down to the soles of your feet. You don't need to direct it or force it, just invite it, just let it in. Let it flow right on through, right into your heart space, ancient, infinite, cosmic light. Becoming one with your vascular system and moving effortlessly through your whole body, every organ, every bone, every muscle, every tissue, every cell, right down to the level of your DNA. And when it reaches the soles of your feet, I want you to just let it continue on through you down into the earth, as deep as feels right for you. Just finding that sweet spot, however deep that is, and then go ahead and use your imagination to just let those channels of light grow some roots, going even deeper into the earth. These roots invite the earth's own energy to move right back up through you, combining with the sunlight that's already flowing through your body. There you go. And go ahead and just put yourself in a second position. Imagine what you might look like right in front of you right now if you could see yourself sitting there, fully illuminated and grounded simultaneously. Is this what they mean by enlightened? Perhaps. So, with your eyes still closed, I want you to bring to mind something that is currently an obstacle or a challenge in your life. Something uncomfortable, unwanted, something you want to change. It could be as specific as a particular person or situation, or something nebulous like the concept of failure or disconnection or not enoughness. Something that carries an emotional charge, and go ahead and let yourself feel that emotion. Let yourself connect with it. This exercise works best when there's an actual connection with emotion. Now, whether you're visual or kinesthetic or whatever, I want you to imagine that you are now cradling this thing in your arms and it's turning into just a small kitten or a little puppy or a cute little baby or whatever naturally brings up a sense of nurturing and unconditional love for you. Just let yourself forget what it started as and let it transform into this small, tender thing that you just want to hold and protect. And if you haven't already lowered your head, go ahead and lower your head as if you're gazing at this thing with your mind's eye, just holding it with care, with love, with no agenda, no expectations, just love. And when you're ready to fully integrate and anchor this in, go ahead and take a deep breath, letting it in through your heart space. And as you exhale, just simply say, thank you. Now, the final step. Let's go ahead and have you imagine, sense, or simply hold the concept of a version of you that is already living on the path of your highest good. I know you know this version because you've compared yourself to them in the past, haven't you? And you've found yourself lacking. So we're gonna flip that around. Go ahead and just imagine this version of you. It has everything going for it. Whatever it is that you have been striving for, it already has. And I want you to really get a sense of it. Like, how do you imagine that they stand? What might they look like? What's different about them? Is there, I don't know, a quiet quality of satisfaction, a little more ease, perhaps confidence? Now go ahead and turn the volume up. Just brighten them, deepen them. Your version, your vision, until it feels just right, until they're absolutely beaming with the truth and authenticity of living the life of their highest good. When you're ready, imagine you're just taking a step closer to this future version of you. We do stuff like this all the time. It's not so hard. And as you take that step, you notice they take a step closer to you as well. And you seem to beam even brighter as they get closer and closer. And keep closing the distance between you. And when you sense that you're right there staying in front of each other, they're going to do something a little unexpected. They are going to reach out and embrace you, pulling you into a hug, cradling you with compassion, just like you cradled that puppy or that kitten or that baby or that cuddly thing earlier. Now you're the cuddly thing. And they're just holding you, feeling that sense of safety and comfort. Going ahead and integrating that with a big, deep breath. And as you exhale, just let them bring you into their heart, just like you brought that cuddly thing into your heart a few moments ago, all the way in until your hearts are beating in sync with each other. Until you are breathing through the same lungs, feeling through the same skin. And in a moment, you'll be seeing through the same eyes. On the count of 3, wiggling your fingers and toes. On the count of 2, stretching out your arms and legs and taking in one more big deep breath. And as you exhale, go ahead and open your eyes and welcome back. Take a drink of water if you need to. And if you'd like to share anything about that experience, we have 3 minutes and I would love to hear about it because guess what? That engages the validation part of your reality creation and externalizes the internal so that you can continue to be supported. Got the hiccups. Oh no. Well, you could do this again later when Roy puts it up for the replay. And here's an interesting side effect that happens from just doing this. If you do this like once a day, you'll start to, and you'll probably reach out and tell me because a lot of people do, you'll start to notice like weird little coincidences and synchronicities stacking up. You'll think about a thing and then suddenly it's there, or a person and suddenly they call, or just interesting things. Little bits of magical evidence that your reticular activating system is like making sure you see by deleting out all the other stuff. And then you'll be able to notice all those opportunities and act on them. So here's what I really want to make sure you walk away with is that you're already creating your own reality, not someday, but already. Not a thing that you have to figure out how to do or work harder at it. You're already doing it. So now you understand the structures that make up the operating system of reality creation. And really, it's about getting into the state, being the version of you that can have that reality, creates that reality. It's that simple. And I know we complicate it, but it doesn't. I wanted to give you all the science behind it, but it's actually that simple. If something clicked for you today, if you felt that shift or like, oh, wow, this really makes sense, then I do invite you to reach out to me. We can do more work together. I actually, let me get this little thing going, have an academy. So I teach this along with hypnosis and energy work. I also work with clients, one-on-one. I'm one of the trainers that actually continually does hypnotherapy full time because I have to. I don't have a plan B. This is how I make a living. And so I'm doing both. And there's different paths to enrollment. We also have if you do enroll, there's one path that gives you a customized website with 2 months of business launch support, helping you with like creating your niche and your lead magnets and your funnels and all that stuff. But there's also another way that you can get in that's just a lot easier and cheaper if you want, if you don't need all that. And if you liked my teaching style, then please come join me on Saturday, May 23rd. The bottom part of that thing that I'm sharing, from chaos to coherence, is a class on ego states, resource states, and entities. And there will be a replay if you can't make it to class. Also, if you use the code word horizon on either of those, then you'll get a lovely discount. So thank you so much for being here. And I really enjoyed this time with you. Thank you.